Hello, and welcome again to the All In podcast with Nate Peo. Today, I'm joined with my guest, Marty Katz. Every great business thrives with a clear message. Marty is a branding and messaging consultant. He works with business leaders who are responsible for growth, and they are not getting the sales they want. They're not connecting with their target audience because their message is not clear or memorable. He creates messaging that connects with target audiences, develops engagement, and generates sales leads. Marty has a proven track record in developing and managing messaging for packaged goods, retail, professional services, tourism, construction, security, and financial services companies. His experience includes working for advertising agencies such as Ogilvy Mather, Foote Cone Belding, DBM&B and Grey. He has worked in the development of new and emerging products and services for A&P Supermarkets, Kraft Heinz, Campbell Soup, and Uproar. Marty works with small to mid-sized organizations in technology, law, accounting, management consulting, video production, digital communications, human resources, and fashion. Welcome to the show, Marty. How are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you for that very glorious introduction. I appreciate it.
Well, you have quite the resume, and sounds like you did you like start your career on like Madison Avenue, like in the is that where like the hubbub of
Yes,
New
that's
York
true.
advertising takes place?
Yes, absolutely. Not like the TV show, but it was certainly. I worked a great deal on Madison Avenue. Yes, I worked for major advertising agencies. That's where I started my career. Yes.
So you probably have seen a drastic change in the way marketing has done over your career working with some of those brands to working with how people are getting their message across today.
Yes, absolutely. It isn't just the move which happened many years ago from traditional media to digital media. That happened a long time ago. But more than the fractionalization of media outlets, a big shift has occurred in that it used to be that the large marketers, even small marketers, would really tell their story, and people would fairly docile. Would they be very docile in their response and just go along with it? Someone's giving them the information, and they just go along because Procter and Gamble tells them so, or Campbell Soup, and that was pretty much it. So the way that they got their message through was through spending a lot of money in media. So the message was not particularly separative, but they could get the job done by just spending enough to reach enough people enough times. Now people are much more independent, particularly younger people, in making decisions. There's a big distrust of larger companies for whatever reason. Culturally, many people just don't trust large companies. They may have an alternative motive. And so the way that a lot of decisions are made, purchase decision making takes place now is based on decision influencers. So influencers become much more important. That doesn't mean just social media influencers, although they certainly do count, but that the people will really talk with each other, and there'll be more personal interaction between people as far as decision making is concerned. That's, I think, the largest piece of change that I've seen.
Yeah. Have you seen a big shift in people being I know you're big on brand messaging and telling your story. And I think that's what a lot of people get wrong, especially in smaller businesses that they can't afford a large marketing agency like
Right.
the ones you work for, is to like go, hey, we need to tell our message. And before you could just put out like an ad, maybe somebody knew what it was. And nowadays we have to be very, very strategic with telling our message. And I think a lot of people don't understand the message they're saying. They think what they're saying is coming across, but they forget that the other person on the other end only knows what they know, and they don't know what the messagee knows. And so they're forgetting a lot of the story. Now, how has that evolved, and how do you work with your clients to kind of start getting in and seeing the picture that they need to be telling their story more clearly and concisely?
Right, absolutely. So this is not like Mad Men, where what you just talked about occurred. They just bought what they needed. This is a lot different. Now, what marketing is really based on, and brand messaging in particular, is based on the three rules of marketing. The three rules of marketing, the first rule is nobody cares about you. That's because they have their own lives. They're not looking for your solutions. They have their own problems, and they're just focused on that. So after that, the next thing is they will only remember the problem that you solve. If you tell people about all your services and your attributes and features and benefits, they will only remember the problem that you solve. And the third thing is they won't do the work to figure it out. So if people are required to sift through this mountain of information and features and benefits and a lot of stories, they're not going to do that work. So this really relates to companies regardless of their size. And some large companies have figured this out, like Nike. They're a performance company, and just do it is the way that they express it. That's an expression of their brand. So their brand message is performance. They own that. Nobody else owns it like they do. So the idea here is that you need to focus on the problem that somebody else has, not your solution. You will eventually come in with your solution, of course, explain how you solve the problem and what you do and your credentials and with whom you've done this and testimonials perhaps, and all of those messages. But that only follows after you've identified the basis. So that's how you get into people's consciousness, is by taking an empathetic view of them and completely forgetting about yourself, because it doesn't matter about you, and just focusing on the problem that you solve, which is really much more based on emotional intelligence than it is on brute force.
So how do you work with your clients to understand this story that you're telling, saying like, hey, it's not about you, it's about the other person. We got to show the problem that you're going to solve, and we want to make it memorable. There's so many avenues to create this message. There's long form, short form, there's social media, there's digital media, there's websites,
Right.
there's mail, there's still, the traditional get in front of somebody, make a pitch. So like, as you're working with your client, how do you get this message to resonate and define it so that they can tell this story the way it needs to be told?
Right. So the first thing is to remember that a brand message is the strategy. It is the blueprint or the basis upon which all communications is built. It's where you start. So the three buckets of marketing: one is the what of a company. What is it? What is your identity? And so that is the brand. The next thing is brand expression, which is how is it expressed, which is your website, your advertising, anything that you do that's outreach. That's brand expression. That's content. Content is an expression. And the third is the where. Where do the marketers interface with the target audience? That's the where. That's your spending on digital marketing, on SEO, all those things. It starts with identifying your strategy. Everything else is built on that. It's like what a brand message is the architect of the message, and then the general contractors build on top of that with the outreach efforts in content and the outreach efforts in marketing. So all of them are all linked together. So that's how you actually create the dialogue, because what you want to do is you want to actually find some level of engagement. Engagement is critical. Engagement is when buyer and seller go back and forth. Maybe a buyer will look online. Maybe a potential buyer will access more information to read on their own. So engagement is a critical piece, because out of that you can actually develop a real solid base of interested and loyal buyers.
Very cool. Is that being done? I mean, it almost sounds like the theories behind it haven't really shifted too much. We just have more places that we tell this story, and more places that we need to go research and reach out. And I think there's also this because we all have access to the internet, we have a lot more access to information. It's allowed a lot more small businesses to move into this space, and we get a lot of people, at least in my experience, that have a good knack for creating a product, but not a good knack for telling the story. And so
Right.
what they want to do is, I need a logo, I need some brand colors, I need a slogan. And it's like, is that the first step we should be doing? Or as we're taking a product to market, whether that product is a physical market, an informational product, or like a service, where should we start looking first to creating our message?
Right. We start at the beginning. Firstly, people are still people, whether it's 2021 or 1921. People are still people. People still want to be included. They want to be embraced in many ways. They want to have something that really refers to them. They want to feel it's the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Belonging is key. So that's extremely important. And so that's where we start. All the thing about colors and logos and taglines and advertising, all that stuff comes after. The fundamental thing as we go to market is we've got a great product. I just got off the phone with somebody who has this new product. It's a research product. And I was talking to him about what problem it solved, and it was a real wrestling match for him to understand that he needed to be very specific about who your target audience is, because he would say, oh, this is a great service for anybody. So one of the things that's important to remember as somebody enters the market is if you try to be everything to everyone, then you mean nothing to anyone. So you have to be really specific. A lot of people say, I don't want to be specific, I'll miss out on the audience. Exactly the opposite is true. As specific as you can be, the more likely you're actually going to grow your market, because you're going to be known as, these people specialize in this particular product or service. They solve this particular problem. That's how people get to learn about you. Of course, over time, let's just say you do only pasta sauce. You can extend that to pasta. You can extend that to desserts. All those things can happen later. But you want to have something that's very specific and solves a need for people in the most specific way. That's how you gain traction. So it's an illusion to think that you can be everything to everyone. Take a look at it, for an example, the coffee market. There's no one can really effectively say, I want to just enter the coffee market. I have coffee for everybody. No, you can't. You have Folgers, you have organic, you have imported, you have any number of different kinds. You have Dunkin' Donuts. You have a whole bunch of loyal people in each of these separate markets. You have to be very specific about how you're going to be entering the market for a specific group of people and what's missing for them. What don't they have? What don't they have that this particular product uniquely satisfies? Because if you have nothing that's unique, no one needs you. You're just like everybody else. Financial services companies, there's so many of them. And so many, I'm talking about like financial planners. There's so many of them. Unless you have something specific to say about yourself, you're going to have a hard time differentiating yourself. How would you rise above the noise? You have to have something specific. And so that's the purpose of what marketing is really about, is to identify that and then to communicate it.
Yeah. And what you brought up was like, understanding who your market is. One of the most eye-opening things that I had was a strategic marketing course. And the guy that ran it, he had been a CEO of a commercial real estate broker firm, and they're going about trying to grow their business, and they're trying to acquire customers, and they're trying to, build and do amazing stuff. And at first glance, you would say, well, who is your customers, right? You want to bring in landlords that have buildings and they use your agents to lease it up, right? And you think
Right.
that's what it makes sense. And it's like, no, that was the furthest from the truth. What they discovered was all those leasing agents, all those brokers, they had relationships with all their clients, and their clients could care less who they worked for. They didn't care if they worked for CBRE or Remax or whatever the name of the company was. They didn't care. They just liked that person.
Right.
So they would go where that person was. So once they discovered that, hey, our audience isn't the landlords, our audience is to get the best leasing agents here. So we need to craft our story. We need to tell them like why this is the best place to work. And that changed my mind of like going like, hey, how often do we think we're in one business, but we're really in another? And we just have to explore it, ask better questions, and find out like, hey, who really is our customer? And I see that a lot of times with people in like a financial planner type space, where they have they work for a corporation, they're out there trying to get their own clients, and they'll say, oh, my target audience is XYZ. It's like, okay, but your message XYZ isn't resonating with XYZ. It's resonating with ABC.
Right.
Like, how do you get that message and like identify, who really is my market? Who really is my customer? And is what I'm saying what I think I'm saying going to the right person, or is it being heard and falling on deaf ears, but it's being picked up by somebody else that I didn't realize it?
Right. Well, a lot of this has to do with research, and there are all kinds of research resources that can really identify this. And it's through that process that you can see, is this resonating with my audience, or is this not? Is this resonating with some other audience? So, the example that you gave in the real estate market is a very good example of that. We have to actually learn who is really making the decision. You have decision influencers and you have decision makers. And so, in the example that you gave, you have both. A decision influencer is somebody who can weigh in on something. A decision maker is the person that actually creates the decision. A classic example is children's cereals, where you have the decision influencer, which is the child, and then you have a decision maker who is the adult. Often, in that particular case, as well as in what you just talked about, you have two different marketing campaigns. You have one marketing campaign to each. That's what a lot of smart marketers do. For instance, let's just say you're a fashion brand, right? You want to have one campaign directly to the buyer, right? And then you're going to have another campaign to the trade, the people that actually, are responsible for taking the distribution and putting it into online spaces, offline, wherever it takes place. So that's a very key piece, is to include both audiences in any of your efforts, so you can reach both of them holistically.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating you brought up the point about the kid cereal, and I have a young son. He's 3.5, and he watches a lot of cartoons during the day. And I've noticed this, that the commercials that come on these shows, they are they work, right? Because as soon as he sees them, he's like, "These are the toys I want. These are the cereals I want to eat. These are the things I want to do." Where I think as adults, we're trained a little bit different. We kind of tune out some of the commercials that come on. We're like, "Hey, we know. I don't. It's like going to get in a Bud Light just because I saw a commercial." But then the other cool thing, I don't know if it's so cool, but he'll get on his iPad and go on like YouTube, and then there's like videos of kids playing with the toys that they just saw in these commercials, and they're like reinforcing it so it's almost like you're right, they're hitting it up with, here it is, here's awareness of it, and then they follow, I guess, other kids doing these, showing them and playing with, and they're like, I don't know, it just boggles the mind, because I can grow up with the YouTube portion added to it, but it's fascinating how that storytelling really comes together with kids. I think they nail it. Where a lot of us in the, especially in like maybe like service industries, it's a little bit hard for us to really explain who it is and what we do.
Well, it should be easy, because if you're clear about what problem you're solving for whom, it should be pretty easy. However, you talked about two things. The first thing is about the kind of the multi-platform approach, and so many marketers are doing this. Classically, do you know who Martha Stewart is?
Yes.
So Martha Stewart classically is the doyenne of marketing. She really is. She had her TV shows, she had her books, she had her magazines. She had in-store when there was in-store. She has a very strong online presence. She hooked up now with Snoop Dogg. So she has all the platforms covered. So therefore, you can't turn left if you are looking for information about domestic bliss. Martha Stewart is the doyenne of domestic bliss. And the reason that she got to be this doyenne is that she had all these bases covered. And so many marketers do this, even within the B2B space. If you're smart, you'll have events, both online and off. You'll have webinars. You'll have all kinds of invitational things where people can come and learn about you. You'll have advertising. The idea is to be as many places as possible. And this works with both, as I say, in all markets. And I don't think that smaller marketers need to be fearful of this, because it can take place even with modest budgets. There are many ways that you can do that. For instance, becoming associated with an industry organization and you can be part of their outreach effort, because interesting organizations, let's say the Realtor Association, they'll be having events. So you can be part of their of a engagement of speaking talks, speaking events that can take place. There's any number of things that can take place that are really at no cost or at very low cost. So just sort of keep that in mind as you think about. The other thing that's really important is to have a plan. A lot of marketers just simply don't have a plan. It's key to have a real plan. Here I am today. Here's what my goals are. Here are the strategies I'm going to use. Here are the tactics I'm going to use that flow out of that, is to have a real plan. That's really key, regardless of what you do, as opposed to, let's try some SEO, digital advertising didn't work too well and no one's going to events, so let's just do something else. So you need to have a real plan of attack. Then you can have the KPI so you can measure against it.
Mm-hmm. Now you brought up, people aren't going to events. That's something I'm curious about. My experience as being in the real estate world was a buyer. I was the person that people targeted to get in front of. They wanted to do their pitch, and they would try to get us to go to trade shows. They would go to networking events. We'd have big trade shows where you walk around with thousands and thousands of square foot of displays. We'd go to smaller trade shows, which were like speed dating. So we have 20-minute meetings. And, that's all been essentially wiped out right now.
Right.
Like, we're doing it digitally. But then the question goes, will it go back to being in person? Because part of my thing was the relationships, that people-to-people connection tended to happen in person. And even though we would meet with people at meetings, a lot of the relationship building happened during the social hour, right? The socializing, dinners,
Yes.
cocktail hour, whatever. And so if we're not doing that, and we've been doing virtual, will people still want to go back to these in-person events where we're doing relationships? Like, what do you see being big changes that will last with us after, the world's opened a little bit back up and things are able to travel again? Will we go back to the way we were doing things, or will we completely take different shifts?
Well, I think that, first of all, I think that this year is the year of transition, of reclaiming our lives. And this is a time where we're going to test a lot of those things out. I think a couple of things that I think that we've learned from this. Firstly, it is not imperative that all of us commute to the office every day. And the working from home, I think, will continue to be with us in some form or other. It isn't necessarily a constant all the time, but in some form. At the same time, one of the biggest learning, I think, for many people is the loss of camaraderie. Is a critical thing. And camaraderie is not just, we're friends, let's have a drink. Camaraderie is the way that corporate cultures and office cultures are built, and how business relationships are built on having a sense of camaraderie. So I think that we have, since March, mid-March, we have been bereft of camaraderie. I mean, you cannot look at a screen all day long and think that you're good friends with people. I mean, and so many of us are staring at a screen from 8:30 to 6 every day. So that is not sustainable, because, first of all, you get cabin fever, and second of all, it's just not the same. I do believe that people will, in fact, come back to wanting to be in physical contact. And as we have a vaccinated population, and as COVID begins to fade, I think it's going to make a huge difference, so that we can actually re-enter our lives again. And I think there's going to be some shifts that will take place, for sure. I think the largest real estate companies recognize that. And right now, at least here in New York, where I am, a lot of the big buildings are being converted from office or commercial to residential. They're also being converted into vertical farms as well, because there's another way for these companies to make money. I do think, though, we will definitely find some way to have personal interactions, because there's no substitute for that. There's nothing that you can do online or in a digital space that will approximate actually being in contact with people. So I think that will definitely come back.
Well, I think that word camaraderie is a word I've been probably searching for for at least a year to describe what I think you're right is missing is like that struggle that we bond as we work together to overcome it, right? Like if you're in like military boot camp, or you're in a pledge class, or like whatever it was that you kind of were like in a team, maybe it's a sporting event, soccer practice, and the coach is making you run laps, even though it sucks and it's terrible. We bond through that
Yeah.
camaraderie as we overcome the adversity, and those teams get built in work, whether we're overcoming the adversity of the projects we're working on, or maybe the relationships we're dealing with our superiors, or whatever that might be.
Right.
And that is missing. And I think that will return, and people are craving that. And that's
Yeah.
why when there's an opportunity to like get together for a mixer, people are like, hey, I'm all for it. I miss people. I want to have it. And they miss that camaraderie. And I appreciate you putting that word back in my mouth, because I've been trying to think of what is the good way to describe it. I think that accurately pinpoints it.
Yeah, and that's really been going on for, I think, millions of people, if not billions of people. We're all in some kind of form of lockdown. I mean, not everybody. There's some people that do continue to lead their lives in the normal way. But I mean, that is what's really missing. And camaraderie is really about office culture, too. Because if you think about it, as you referenced, maybe you want to talk about ideas. How spontaneous could I be with you to say, oh, Nate, I want to talk to you about this. If you're like just down the hall, I could walk 30 feet. But if I have to like set up a Zoom call and go to Calendly and see if you're really available, I mean, it really slows that down. That's just office culture. So I think that it's an impediment to think that we can just do away with camaraderie, because I think it's a critical way for businesses to build their acumen, their creativity, their innovation, their relationships within the firm, their relationships with external vendors and with clients and prospects. All that stuff comes through camaraderie. And that is, I think, a very critical piece of learning that I think we've all come to, because we all took it for granted. But you
Yeah.
never had to think about, should I have coffee today with Nate, or is tomorrow better? I don't know. I have it whenever. He's free. Nate, you're free. Let's go. So
Yeah.
you would never have to think about it. You just take it for granted. Now everything is a production, and then you just look at this screen.
Yeah. I think you're right with like, there's countless times you go in and just have a casual conversation with somebody. They might start off like, hey, how was your weekend? They say something, you say something, and it kicks an idea into motion
Right.
of something that's like an innovative idea to implement at work. So that is definitely missing, and I look forward to bringing that back. So I do want to ask you about your take on the words all in. What does all in towards an idea or an outcome or towards a marketing strategy mean to you?
All in for me means that I'm completely devoted and committed to a particular idea or mission or focus or vision. And I do everything that I can. That doesn't mean that I'm stubborn. I don't take advice from others. In fact, I sometimes will seek out advice from others, because others will have more information or knowledge than I do. But all in means that is a level of devotion and commitment that sees no boundaries. It doesn't look at days of the week or times of the day or relationships with people. If I'm looking to build something, I'm completely devoted to that 100%. That doesn't mean I'm going to sacrifice family or friends, but it means that all in is that everything that fuels me, my why, the Simon Sinek why, right? That
Yep.
my why is expressed in this particular venture or business or idea or club or, I don't know, charity or political cause. So that's what all in means. It's a total commitment to, without holding back.
Awesome answer. Love it. So we talked a bit about what you do, but let's talk a little bit about who you do it for. Who are those ideal clients that you love working with? They really fit into your personality, and it doesn't feel like it's a job, but it feels like you're creating something that's lifting both people up.
Yeah, I typically work with small to mid-sized firms. Headcount is more important than revenue. So between, let's just say, I don't know, 5 and 20 people. And what I do is, my particular brand messaging is a very, very streamlined approach. It is extremely simple. It has taken me decades to streamline it. Much larger firms do a much more comprehensive job than I do, and they should, because they're dealing with, major packaged goods companies and major retailers and major digital presences, and they have to do things that are really complex. Mine is simple, so I work with people who are responsible for business growth, and they're not getting the sales that they want, and they're not reaching their target audience. And that's because their message is not clear or memorable. And this leaves them feeling frustrated. So I develop a message that allows them to generate connections with their target audience, develop engagement, and that leads to sales leads. That's what I do. So these are typically small firms. If they do have marketing people, that's great, because I provide something that most marketing departments will not have. And if they don't have it, I can also do that on my own directly with the C-level people. So it's typically small firms that are looking to grow and have the resources to do that. They have the time, they have the management support, they have the funds to want to take the next step. So that's where I come in, and I can get them started.
Awesome. Is there a favorite industry you like working with?
Not really. I mean, right now I have companies in the tech space. Before that, I had companies in the HR space. There's no particular industry. What I do is sort of a movable feast. It doesn't really matter particularly. I do have tech companies right now that are. I have a number of tech companies, financial services, management consultants. So those are my current clients largely.
Awesome stuff. So where can people go if they want to get connected to you, find out more about what you're up to?
Well, I can give you my email address. Would that be useful?
Wherever you want people to get connected to you.
Yeah, it's Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, Marty at connectors360.com. Connectors360.com. The name of my company is Connectors360. The web address is connectors360.com, and it's Marty at connectors360.com. That's me.
Awesome stuff. So that's listed here in the show notes, so you can reach out, get connected to Marty there. Your LinkedIn handles is there as well. And I encourage anybody listening, reach out, connect with Marty, say hello. And if you do have a conversation with him, let him know you heard about him on the All In podcast with Nate Peo. So thank you so much, Marty, for coming on the show and sharing your marketing, your marketing acumen and tons of knowledge around the brand awareness, brand storytelling, and everything that you had going on. It's great conversation.
I want to thank you, Nate, for inviting me. I appreciate this very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.